Dear Mr. Pacey, my house has been vandalized. Everyone was out of town for the flower dance, and when we returned, the whole place was turned upside down. I have a pretty good idea of who did it. Normally I'd ask Robin to fix up the place, but she's busy working on the farmer's house. That's where you come in. It's not too bad, just a little dirt and trash, plus a few holes knocked in the wall. Please get it done quick. Wednesday's the only day I take off, and I need to be ready to reopen tomorrow. Thanks in advance.
With House Flipper 2's new Sandbox Mode, you can now build houses from the ground up. I've decided to use this to recreate iconic locations from video games, of course starting with Stardew Valley. And this is the very first one I've created, Pierre's General Store. Now that you've seen the job description, I want to take you on a tour around the house just to show you how everything was made. Now, right off the bat, you can see that clearly the dimensions aren't the same as they are in game. Stardew Valley does a thing where the outside of houses really do not match up with the inside of houses at all. So I aimed to make this main part right here the exact same as the outside of the original house. Everything else is something that had to be added on because the house is really this big. I didn't do too much with the outside foliage-wise because there's not really much to be done, especially when this whole part isn't in Stardew Valley itself. I did make Pierre's sign in Photoshop because there's really no way to recreate that in-game. There is a tool that allows you to resize, and it actually works with cork boards, luckily enough, so I was able to make that cork board the exact size that I needed it to be. Other than that, well, this door is not real. I actually made it just by making a bunch of different textures and placing them in squares. It goes into nothing, because there is no actual second floor of the general store. It's really just kind of there. I don't know, it could be some personal room that they really don't go into. Honestly though, the outside was the easy part. I'm eager to show you what's going on in the inside. So this is the general store. I completely stocked it up, and looking back on it, it might have been a little overkill. I did literally stock them one item at a time. I realized that if you download this mod, you'll probably see a little bit of slowdown if you don't have a stronger computer because it's so much, and you could easily delete half of these items and it really wouldn't make a visual difference. That's kind of the main feature of making this Pierre's General Store. It was also a little weird figuring out what to use in certain places because the game is not fitted out to make stores. It's fitted out to make houses, so this was a lot of innovation. I have these boxes here with a bunch of produce put in them, bunch of boxes over here with even more produce. There's 3 walls that you never see in the game, and that's the side walls and the back walls. You can see the front wall, and I've recreated the cookie image and the giant billboard with all the stuff on it here. As for the other walls, I left them empty for the most part. Sometimes I just filled a little space with some stuff that looks like it would make sense. Like, there's a window here because in-game, there's a window on the outside right there, so it just makes sense. There's a coat rack and an umbrella stand, even though it's not in-game because, you know, naturally there would be one there. Now, the real innovation that had to be made was the counter. There's really nothing like the counters in Stardew Valley, so I built it by hand. These are all like constructions here. Unfortunately, there is no opaque glass, so instead of making this clear glass, I made it light blue shutters because I think it fits the color of the game a little bit more. There's no backpack in the game, so I put a box there. And then just a couple of things where it's like, oh yeah, they'd use their computer and a calculator to take orders, and then there's 2 pictures for Pierre to remind him who he's working for. This window here, once again, I want to point out, that's in the middle of the house. So I've created a beautiful vista that you can look out upon in here. So it's just like real life. I think that just about does it for the general store portion. There is a lot more to go through. The rest of the house didn't have too much I had to make myself because it was much more normal. However, Abigail's wallpaper, in Stardew Valley, it's very specific. It's like fish in the middle, waves on top, and then seaweed and the ocean floor on the bottom. I did the best I could with this, and honestly, I think it makes it look like one of the most unique rooms in the game. course, all of the items are where they belong. This is her little SNES. These are the pictures of Chrono, the SNES controller, and what many people assume to be Echo the dolphin that are up in her room, as well as the real-life location, the Gates of Heaven. That's what it is in game. I am not kidding. And then I just filled in this with some random stuff. We have to talk about this just briefly. David Jr.'s cage is a fence clipped into the ground, and maybe someday it won't have to be there. And of course there's his water to drink from, his food. He's really decked out in there. And then here's her PC setup on the side. Pretty much exactly how it is in game. Lights work and everything. I made sure to wire everything properly, so it'll work if you use this house yourself. Moving on, we'll go into Pierre's room here. And Carolyn's room, I suppose. It's very not specific. Like, there's not really much I had to do in here. Desk, a couple of side tables, bed, shelf. There's one thing I did want to add in, though. First, you may see there's a couple of magazines stuck under the bed, but if you don't like that interpretation of his secret stash, I did add a Joja Cola and a, air quotes, cabbage here behind the bookshelf. So there's a little bit of something there for the people who attentively watched all of the cutscenes in Stardew Valley. And now here is the living room. It took a lot of work to make the fireplace look good, but I think I accomplished it. There's not really much in this room. It's a very empty living room. So I added some workout gear on the floor to honor the aerobics on Tuesdays that's in game. And then there's, of course, chair. Who knows why it's there, but it is there. You can check. Yoba's altar. I mean, what more can be said? So this is a dresser with a wooden, what do you call that? Like support in the back? That is the closest I could get to making anything that looks like Yoba's altar in game. Although I think all of the rest of the room was done really well. I don't think there's a better way you could have done it with the columns and a really good wallpaper. Lights, of course, do work. Have it turned off. And it's a very ornate light for, of course, a very holy room as well. Moving into the kitchen, it was, once again, very empty compared to in-game. So I did line the walls a little more. I left this wall empty. You can do whatever you want with that. But, I mean, giant fish, TV, because I know some kitchens used to have TVs in them. Picture of Abigail, a picture of the saloon, a place where their fellow business owner runs. And then I fully did out the table dressing because I don't know, that was a little fun part of it. I think it makes it look a little more realistic. Little area here for doing their taxes or whatever. We have the kitchen here, which stays really true to the original game. Mug, plate with croissant. It's all very specific. And then of course, a radio. Can't have that without the radio. Not too much to say here. You will see that the wallpaper does slightly change here. And that is actually how it is in game. And then a place that I had to make a few concessions on, we have the garden. This is where if you get 2 hearts with Carolyn, you'll come into here and she'll give you the recipe for tea saplings. And there's, I mean, I was able to make it a pretty competent green room. But as for the actual decorations on the inside, there was some concessions that had to be made here clearly. I've got the tea bush right smack dab in the middle. A couple of gardening items and just some nice looking plants that I found. There's a lot of options for plants in the game. I'll give them that. And I also added doors here because I feel like that makes sense in the context of this specific house. Maybe not within the game itself, but I think it's useful if you're in the very back and you don't have to go all the way up to the front to exit the house. Now, I did make a destroyed version. And the story is, I mean, you saw it in the intro to the video, Morris came by, destroyed the place, and he needs to have it fixed up before he has to open up on Thursday. So I did a fun little thing here with the steps. You can see as they go in, they walk over to the side, and you can see all the damage he caused. He threw some stuff in the middle, walked over here, did some damage. These footsteps go through the entire house. It was clearly one man's doing. And then I have some fallen things that you'll have to rebuy when you actually do the job. I tried to add a good variety of each kind of dirt that the game allows you to have. That was meant to be paint. Then following the footsteps, you can see they go back out over here. They do go into Abigail's room, and then it had a little bit of a yellow paint episode in here, smeared paint all over the walls. A couple of gang signs from, you know, Joja Corp, I suppose. Although not as destroyed as the main room, because, I mean, why would he want to? It's really Pierre he's after, which is why this room is absolutely demolished. Destroyed boxes all over the place. Tons of trash on the bed because, of course, didn't touch the secret stash, luckily. It's weird to move that with all the trash around. Didn't touch it. Maybe he respected it. Maybe he never found it. Maybe it's well hidden. We'll never know. Main room has an even amount of chaos throughout it. Of course, Morse is a smart man. Oh, he also blew out some of the walls, and you'll have to rebuild that whenever you can. He's a smart man, though. He knew not to touch a holy place, so all he did is place a couple of Joja Colas on the counter. And he also forgot his phone here. I was going to try and figure out how to do custom quests where you get a phone call in the middle of the mission. I couldn't really figure it out, and I don't know if it's something that you're able to do, because I wanted someone to voice Morris, but I don't know if anyone's a grizzled creator. Maybe you could give me some tips as to that front. His carnage continues into the kitchen, destroyed, knocked the table over, and just in general, dirt all over the place. He knocked over another hole into the wall. And of course, if you come out to the outside, you can catch the sledgehammer on the ground that you need to pick up and sell. Didn't touch the greenhouse because, I mean, he has nothing against Carolyn. Or Caroline if you're nasty. So both the house and the job for you to complete will be available on mod.io. If you don't know what that is, that's where you can upload your custom creations in this game, and you can simply put it in the game. Let me show you actually real quick how to download those. All you need to do, go to Sandbox Mode, scroll over to mods, import, and then whenever you download the mod, it'll come as a zip file, and you just click that. So this is the clean version, the house. And boom, there it is, in there. That's all you need to do. I will have links in the description for that. So I do want to make this a series. I want to be clear on that. Creating this was very fun, and I like to do it a lot more. Not just for Stardew Valley locations, but for other games as well, as you will see next week when I do the next house. But I have also decided that I think I want to try and create every single building that is in Stardew Valley. And then it could be, oh, I recreated the entirety of Pelican Town. And I've already made progress on making like the Wizard's Tower, because that was going to be a challenge. Obviously it's round, and I did figure out how to do that. But let me know what houses you want to see next, because I mean, there's a lot that need to be done. The Carpenters, Willie's Store, Marnie's Ranch, the Wizard's Tower, all houses will be done by the end. And you want to know what? Something fun I just thought of. We could call this Flippin' Fridays or Flipper Fridays or something like that. If I just make this try to make this a weekly thing where I just show you a house I made. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. I had a lot of fun making this, and it's neat to look at these areas in 3D. Anyways, thank you for watching. See you all in the next one, and good night.